Continuing past our charging settings, we're going to have our air conditioning settings. Essentially right here, starting with our kind of left and right hand panels here, both for the driver side and the passenger side, you're going to be able to select how kind of you want the air blowing. So if you want just the air blowing kind of diffuse throughout the entire car, versus a more focused blowing where you can feel it on yourself more, versus an individual setting, where if we click into individual, using these little circles on the screen, we can actually adjust where your vents are pointing and decide where you want the air blowing. And then once you've selected and adjusted that vent, you can actually see on the left here, you can control how strong the air is going to be flowing out of it. And you can do that for any of them separately. But for now, we're going to just leave this on diffused over here. Other thing I'll mention in individual mode here, which is kind of neat, if we click on this bottom left, it shows a picture of someone seating here. Because you kind of do your own customized air conditioning settings, rather than kind of just having the air blowing at you in the car deciding what to do, you're able to go and decide whether or not you want airflow just to your feet, for example, or going straight at you or up. Any combination of the three will work as well. But yeah, essentially this individual view is just going to give you kind of more personalization if you want to get into it. And then let's select auto here, and I'll show you guys what this looks like. So essentially when auto selected and we're into individual mode, we're going to be able to select how kind of strong on average the air is going to be blowing throughout the car. So you could do soft air conditioning style, regular, or strong. And then this one's particularly useful, I find, especially in the winter. Let's say it's really cold out and you want your footwells warmer than average on the rest of the car, then you could go ahead and select that. Or maybe in the summer you want your feet colder. So it's kind of cool in that individual mode, kind of what you can get into for customization. But for now, let's pop it back to diffused. Then coming to the middle here, you'll have a few options. So you're going to have an off button for your air conditioning, an eco function if you're trying to optimize range, and then you go and have the AC function for the vehicle itself. Coming along the top, we're going to have air quality, and depending on options, you'll have more or less in here. The first one's going to be ionizer, and what that is used to increase the air quality inside of your vehicle. And below that, you're going to have your automatic air circulation. Typically, I recommend just leave the automatic air circulation on. The car will decide whether it needs to recirculate the interior based on the air quality or pull air from the outside into the vehicle. Coming along the top, we're going to have an alternative way where we can set the pre-cool / heat for the vehicle. And really, for any of the pre-cool or heating, the easiest way to do this is just going to be through the app on the phone. That way, you're not actually having to go through and set different timers and everything on here when you're expecting to go to the vehicle, especially let's say you're either at dinner, at an event of some kind. You can just open up the app on your phone, hit the preheat cool cycle, and it's just going to do its job. You don't have to depend on a timer there. It's a little bit more flexible that way, but an alternative way to work this if you'd like to. And then of course, you're going to have full rear customization of the back climate control as well. All right, continuing past air conditioning, we've already gone through devices here where I connected my phone. So let's move over to Sport Chrono. And essentially what you're going to use this for is really time trials. So if you're ever on the track and you are doing some lap times, you can start some laps, you can reference them, and then you're going to have kind of recorded times down here. And right now we're not going to have anything here just because it hasn't been used on this car, but you'll have kind of a subscreen here where you can evaluate some of your times, compare, contrast, do all of that. Software updates for the vehicle or any other updates that can be applied to it are going to be on the far right. And as you can see here, everything's going to be up to date, but let's say you had a nav update or something else pending for your vehicle, it will get displayed up in here. And often the easiest way to deal with those updates is at first you'll have to select them, but if you select them, you can select a little check mark where they'll just update automatically, and then you're not having to click in there all the time to do them yourself, and they'll just take care of themselves. Notifications. This could be anything from cell phone notifications to, let's say you had a flat tire, to there being a software update available. It keeps track of all of that for you. Instructions. This is going to be an alternative way to view your owner's manual rather than using the paper one. You go and have a weather app right here. info, that's just kind of privacy agreement for the vehicle and all of that stuff right there. So nothing too important. Smart service, this is going to be keeping track of all the service intervals on the vehicle. So if you want to go in and view those. News, you're going to be able to pull from different news networks. It works very much like the weather app, and you can kind of set which news networks you like, and as long as you have internet, they'll pop up there on the screen for you. Calendar, you can either link a Microsoft or Google Calendar into the vehicle. And then of course you'll have your HomeLink button for your garage doors, and your breakdown call, which can be used to call your 1-800 Porsche, let's say you need a tow or anything like that, or there's some sort of emergency. Then last thing I'll mention on the touchscreen here is on the top left, we're going to have our home button. So if we click this, it's just going to take us to an alternative view of our PCM here, kind of like a home menu. And depending on what you like, if you want to get into the customization thing, if you click on the bottom right of the screen, there we go, configure my screen, you're going to be able to play around with a lot of this stuff. So let's say you want some of your driving information available on the screen rather than your phone. You can just drag and drop. We're going to hit confirm. And as you can see here, now I have an alternative way I can go through and select my modes rather than using my Sport Chrono mode selector or the Sport button on my secondary control panel. All right, so that takes us through the PCM.